After all the Ohio games, you allow yourself to bother us with the great Iowa. Just another Ammy crap. Sorry. What about other nations? Show us a Nelson, a Suja, a Petro, Pablo, Vanguard, Marco, Polo, or other ships where no other living being would think about to get into battle with. There are so many ships in this game. Come on, try to show us some diversity. I'm confident, especially you, can do it. Alright? Bet. Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight I've got just one thing to say. Go Blue, baby! 15-0 national championships. I've waited literally my whole life for this. Cannot believe it. Finally, we are the champions. Say it with me. Go Blue. Let's go. All right. So I jumped on after the game and I saw this comment and it's like, oh, you should play something other than other than American crap. I'm like, fine. I'll jump back in the Amagi and show you what the Amagi can still do. Is the Amagi still good in 2024? So let's keep the theme, shall we? Amagi versus the world. First game out. This is the theme of this channel, by the way, for this week. We are going to be testing out all of the Tier 7 battleships that are tech tree. That includes the stupid Italians. And we're going to showcase whether they are viable in 2024. So, buckle in, strap yourself in, keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Because it's going to be a bumpy ride, especially towards the end of this. But Amagi, you guys saw me the other day on a live stream pull off a great game, and I've got a little bit of a sneak preview for you guys. This is my best game in the Amagi ever. One game I played tonight. One. Jumped in the Amagi. This was the game. So, with that on the table, let's see what you got. Amagi, please, for the love of God, hit what you're aiming at. But Spartan, you already said it's the best game you've ever had. That doesn't mean it hits what it's aiming at. Trust me. It just means we had a lot of targets to shoot at. I love the Amagi. Always have. But it's always been a tale of, oh my god. Hello, Odin. Yeah, he's angled, but he's over-angled. We're going to aim high. Probably should have aimed that up a little bit. Coming around that island, but you can see that dispersion is almost sadness. We do land 3 shells for 9,100 damage though, so you know Amagi probably gonna be okay in this one. And that's the funny thing about the Amagi. As much as I've always, oh my god, he can't. You don't get away with this, right? Amagi, tell him, you can't get away with this. We've got Arthas on here for a freaking extra 20% damage as we strip over half his hit points from the man. Tell me again that the Amagi is a bad ship. How many people out there type in their comments and be like, Amagi's terrible, I can't do anything in the Amagi. I've always said, it is a tale of two ships. There are times when you pull the trigger on the Amagi and you're just left shaking your head. But then there are times where you pull the trigger on the Amagi and all you see is just death and destruction. Speaking of which, hello Broadside Hood. How are you? Wait for it. Bonk. down goes a third of his health. Well, actually, more than a third of his health. That man damn near got neutered. But, you know, sometimes you just gotta teach the young folks. Alright, they're in Tier 6s. They're used to sailing broadside and getting away with it. So it takes a Tier 7 battleship to reach out and slap them to really teach them. But he's still broadside, and now he's reversing. So, let's teach him again, shall we? There's another chunk of his health. He got lucky that time. He actually started moving forward at the right time. But now, Kagero gets spotted. We got a Friesland right here in perfect position to neuter this Kagero. Look at his health just melting. And Amagi lines up the shot. We take it out over the head of the ship. Come on. Oh my god, that is ugly. And one shell. And then the unthinkable happens. A Nagato, of all things, comes rolling around the corner, ready to do its job. And what does he do? He fires HE. Tell me you're running Azure Lane Fusu without telling me you're running Azure Lane Fusu. Yeah. You're lucky the island's protecting you from that sunshine. I promise you won't get away with that a second time. But, everybody who knows how this is going to go knows how this is going to go. You're in a Nagato, you're bow into an Amagi at this range. I've got 10 rounds ready to go straight through your bow to make you regret life decisions. But he's still shooting HE, and he isn't even shooting it at me. But his secondaries are going to try to bail him out. Now, we punch him right in the face for all of the damage he has left. We actually did end up hitting his belt a little bit there, which is what is the word I'm looking for? There's a word, and I'm lost in the moment, so I apologize. It's not preferable. That's the word I was looking for. Anyway, that being said, he's now fully bow in, and we're gonna aim high and watch what happens this time. Straight down into the citadel. Like, you aim at the bow, you hit the belt, you aim high at the deck, somehow it gets a citadel. You tell me how that works. Anyway, it doesn't matter because that's what happens. RNG giveth and RNG taketh away. We are already at 112,000 damage in this map. So you already know it's going to be a good game, right? Like, it just is. There's no other way around it. Now, Hood comes around. He's still broadside as ever, and the game decides that I'm not allowed to fire all my guns at one time. I don't know why. I hate that when that happens, because it almost always happens when I get a good look at somebody. But it doesn't matter, we still managed to land more shells than not, hitting 7 out of 10 shells on target, and the Hood immediately goes down. Pay attention to that Pensacola, will you? There's a guy right next to me, right now. He's in a Pensacola. This is the most ridiculous Pensacola probably you'll ever see in your life. Why? Because he just yoinks every single kill out from under me. It's almost like he's seen a video or two and said, you know what? Spartan always tends to leave people with just enough to get away. I'm going to stay next to him and see what happens. Well, it's working out for him so far. As he picks up the kill on the Hood. And the best part is he knows how to shoot armor piercing, which is a great thing, especially for American heavy cruisers. But you'll notice that I know that there's a Kagero out here, right? I'm not dumb. I know there's a Kagero out here. So we got to pay attention to little cues around us to tell us roughly where he's at. And we're going to see some torpedoes in a moment off of the starboard bow. That's the right side front, in case you guys aren't, like, privy to Navy speak. But as you can see, torpedoes. Well, guess what? We know it's not the ZF-6, because he's spotted over on the other side of the map. So it can only be the Kagero, which we already knew was over here. Now here, we were going to take a shot at the Z. Unfortunately, he goes dark right before we get a chance. Here we get ready to try to take a sneaky shot at the Boise, and I'm assuming the Boise is actually running the perk that tells him that there's people looking at him, because he just stops. And we only get a few shells over to the target, but when you're firing at a tier 6 light cruiser, it's only a matter of time. If you get 1 or 2 shells on target, it could absolutely dev strike the man. But as you can see, he starts reversing, which is a great move by him. His Jean Bart didn't get the memo, though, because the Jean Bart just keeps pushing. Now, when you're in a tier 7 battleship in a lobby like this, especially a good battleship like the Jean Bart, you tend to be really aggressive, and sometimes that leads to overextending, and you don't pay attention to the crossfires that you put yourself in, and this is a prime example of that. We've been spotted a lot on this side of the map. That Jean Bart should have known we were over here, and he is putting himself right in the middle of a crossfire. But what does he think? The same thing we all think. We just push straight at the guy that's right in front of us, and we forget about those crossfires. We all do it. I've done it plenty of times. You guys have seen what happens when I get slapped in the middle of a live stream. But here we take another shot at the Jean Bart as he turns in to use the island as cover, which is a great move by him. And we already know that the destroyer is spotted. And look at the Pensacola. Does the Pensacola play around? No, he goes right for the man and finishes him off. And do we stay sailing in a straight line, knowing for a fact that that destroyer likely launched torpedoes at us? No, we turn away. So we dodge the torpedoes. Easy enough, right? You don't wait for the torpedoes to get spotted before you dodge them, okay? If you know that they're there, get out the way, right? There's a song somewhere in there. Move, battleship, get out the way. Get out the way, battleship, get out the way. Yeah, you've heard it. We've all heard that song, right? Pretty sure. But anyway, we are going to try to counter-rotate. Notice we had a lot of people follow us around the map here. So we're going to counter-rotate, putting ourselves against the enemy's over-aggression, right? We've talked about this many times. We've set up crossfires, we've taken advantage of them, and now we counter-rotate because we recognize that the enemy is overextending. And what happens when we counter-rotate? Well, the enemy has no idea that we're going to pop up 6 kilometers off of his right side, right? Spartan needs 7 kilometers. Shut up. But we take a shot, and Amagi strikes again. We do get 4 hits. Make that 5 hits. But it was all overpins because Jean Bart all-or-nothing armor scheme. Despite the fact that we hit literally the most armored part of his ship, we still overpinned him. I think we should have aimed that a little bit further forward on the Jean Bart. But either way, we'll take it. We're up to 153,000 damage, and that's when the Nagato gets spotted, and I'm going to do something I wish I hadn't. I trust the Nagato at this range to land more often than not, right? So I hit the plane. What happens? 1 overpin. Because Amagi. I'm telling you, it's a tale of 2 boats, guys. Sometimes she's hot and sometimes she's not. But the thing about the Amagi is, unlike some battleships where you have to get the perfect game, and even then, they tend to troll you, the Amagi is generally pretty consistent in the fact that it will put up good numbers. It may not blow everything out the water every game, but if you position this thing correctly, you're going to get rewarded more often than not. Amagi is always going to be a tale of 2 ships. She's always going to have that Japanese battleship dispersion that just makes you shake your head and wish that you were playing literally any other nation, except for the Italians. But, in that case, like, you know that generally speaking, that's usually a salvo, or maybe 2 salvos where it happens during a match, and everything else is going to be relatively consistent. So, as we fire a couple of shots at this Nagato, and start to close the distance here, noticing that he's just staying fully broadside, right now is where I am wishing I still had my plane. Look at this shot. Dude is 10.5 kilometers away from a broadside Amagi, and look at the rail guns. Oh my god. You don't get away with that, but he does. If we had Arthas, we would have still left him with just enough to get away, most likely. But we would have took a lot more off of him. And the friendly Nagato follows us up, and actually, I think that was the Pensacola shooting him. The other friendly cruiser shoots him. He's starting to, like, look at us here, and I'm like, go ahead, Sunshine. Take your last shot. We're going to turn in. Wait for it. Between the 2 cruisers, the HE from the Pensacola and the other cruiser out there, they finish off the Nagato, right as our shells would have landed. Unfortunate. And that just leaves 2 heavy cruisers remaining. I lied. 1 heavy cruiser and 1 light cruiser, the Boise and the Balti. Both American. Both extremely dangerous in their own right. Here, we're going to take a shot because you miss all the shots you don't take. You never know when you're going to catch somebody over the top of an island, because nobody expects those shots to come in. So you take the shot. And of course I missed. Nothing was going to happen there. Probably had you thinking, oh my god, he's going to depth strike the Boise over the island. Nope. But we're at 184,000 damage. We've done everything that we can do in this match. We've done everything correct. We haven't captured a base, but we've put ourselves in position this entire match, utilizing the great mobility and maneuverability of the Amagi to constantly be at the front and constantly put ourselves in, oh my god, he's broadside. Where are these people coming from? You know we're here. And bonk. Once again, I come through and leave him with just enough to get away. And who comes in and cleans it up? But the Pensacola. And then the Boise, suddenly seeing a Baltimore just get yeeted out of existence in front of him, goes, oh my god, I need to get out of here. But that Boise, whether you know it or not, has had himself an incredible game. I anticipated the turnout here, and he just actually fakes me out of my shoes. So well done to him on that one. If he'd have turned out, he's probably dead there. But he gets away for now, and between the Pensacola and the Nagato, they managed to chip away at him. Pensacola's still doing his thing. The Boise is not shooting armor piercing at a broadside Pensacola. Wait, I take that back. I think that was armor piercing that he hit the island with. But here we can see the Boise about to make a turn inside, so we take the shot with the front guns, getting accurate salvo there, hitting almost every one of those 4 shells on target. And then, as he turns to run away, we're like, okay, this is the one. We gotta save our teammates. He fires armor piercing at me. This man has more sense than the Nagato did. But we take and drop it on target, destroying one of his turrets. The Nagato coming up just short of finishing him off. Boise gets another shot away and picks up the Quacken on the Pensacola that's been yoinking my kills the entire game. And I'm not upset about the Pensacola, by the way, just so you know. I'm not at all. It's just one of those things that was funny because I always leave people with just enough to get away. So if you ever want a chance to pick up good numbers on kills, follow me around. But there we get very lucky that we got that one shell that managed to go roughly where we aimed it, and we take him down. So finishing off my best game in the Amagi ever. Now, as soon as I click the button, which will be coming up any moment to skip these because I forgot this is a thing, getting that 5 steel, 5 steel, 5 steel, 5 steel, all the steel, give it to me, all of it. But we pick up 237,000 damage, high caliber Confederate with 2 kills and 3,267 base XP, top of the leaderboard. Not too shabby. And just to prove that it is in fact my best game ever, I go straight into the statistics as I overshoot it. And in the bottom right hand corner you can see my maximum damage, 237,680. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed these. Keep an eye out for more of your favorite Tech Tree Tier 7 battleships as I go through the gauntlet to prove which ships are good and which ships are bad in 2024. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.